Yeah, live.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. We are live with our community meetup this month, and I wanted to just get started by acknowledging that I am presenting from the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation in Australia, and to pay my respects to their elders, past and present. And I am Jennifer Fine, and I am the CEO and co-founder of YouLi Travel. And we are the makers of YouLi, which is the best software for organizing group trips. And now also the best way to get your plug and play website launched for free with any of our premium booking software. So today we are going to be talking to some amazing members of our community who are boldly either running trips or relaunching their business to run trips very soon as travel restarts. And we're so proud of them for having survived the insanity of the last year and yet to be facing the next year with optimism and with a plan to relaunch their businesses. So I'm really excited to share their stories. Just a quick intro. We have Nick Vanello from GoNaked Events. We have Nate, whose last name I'm going to struggle to pronounce, Taiaroa from Adventure Out Loud. And we have Sophia Boyer from Melanated Travel. And we have Jennifer Spatz from Global Family Travels. So before we jump into our panel, I'm just going to give a quick overview of our software so you know what we're talking about. So just really quickly in terms of the website. So, why are we selling websites? Well, because we launched our booking software a few years ago, and we found a lot of our clients would come to us and say, oh yeah, awesome, totally need booking capabilities, but first I need to go build my website. And then they would disappear for months and their websites wouldn't get launched, or would get launched and they were super slow, or they weren't mobile optimized. And we just realized this is not gonna work for what's coming up because the travel industry needs to rebuild and we don't have time to wait to build the perfect website. And we certainly don't have time for websites that are too slow and not mobile optimized. So we decided to build a very simple, out of the box, plug and play website that's super easy to get started. You have all your content, you can get going in just a week. And we decided to include it as just part of all of our premium packages. So that means that if you sign up with us, you get 6 secure pages. So it just comes, it's secure, none of that like not secure error on your website. No booking fees. You get the essential SEO, which is mobile optimized and fast loading pages. And you get to have a light dark theme, as well as a find your trip link so that people who book in with you can very easily get back to their page to not only continue to make their installments, but also to complete their tasks like passports and did they get their COVID test or did they get their vaccine? So all that fun new process that you're gonna have to implement, and all of that's really easy for them to access using the Find Your Trip link on your free website. So that's just a really quick intro of what it is that you get with that sort of plug and play website. So let me just show you really quickly what that looks like in practice. So here's one of our clients, Party Golf. So here you can see a banner image, a description, and then the star of the show, all the trips that he's running. So these are golf tours to the Gold Coast. And then you can see there's an about page, as well as terms and conditions and privacy policy, and a little contact form so that people can contact him. And jumping into one of our clients who is on the panel today, we have Adventure Out Loud. He's actually, Nate's working with us to build a full custom website that has more content on it. And he's launched this as his getting started site so that he can start building SEO reputation on his domain. And here you can see he's doing a domestic trip to Australia and preparing for trips in 2023 to see the gorillas, chimps, and whale sharks. So these are just examples of what you can do with the plug and play website. And here we have a risque one from Nick, GoNaked Events. He has beautiful trips. This is one of my favorite photos that he's got there. And you're going to hear more from Nick shortly. And then we also have from Sophia, Melanated Travel. She has gorgeous trips I absolutely love this photo. Um, and actually, no, wait, this one's my favorite. So she has put up incredible trips in a very short period of time. And you can learn more about her by clicking on the About link. And then you can see who her target audience is. And she really does an amazing job of speaking directly to the people that are going to book in with her. And here's a quick view of what that looks like in terms of a trip page, or a booking page. So this is one of Sophia's trips to Havana. And this is where they can see how much it costs, and they can click to book now, register, and then immediately be prompted to pay their deposit. So it's all completely integrated into the free website. So it's a seamless experience. Oh, and she's changed the photo on me just between when I loaded this page and now. I love it. And so that's how easy it is to make changes to this website, and you don't need a developer to do that. And then it just seamlessly integrates into the booking pages or trip pages that you set up on YouLi. And just as an example of what it looks like if you sort of outgrow the plug and play website, here's an example of Go Schoolies. They do school trips out of Australia, and we did a custom design and website build. And this is, again, completely integrated into the YouLi trip pages. So here you can see all of their trips that are currently scheduled for 2021 and beyond. And so the students can click in and express interest on these trips from here. And then jumping into Jennifer Spatz's Global Family Travels, she doesn't host our website with us, but we work with her to help make sure that her trip pages are embedded onto her domestic booking page. So here you can see some examples of a Seattle urban art tour that she's launched, as well as a community gardens tour. And so you can see all of these cards are embedded from the YouLi platform. So she can make any changes on the YouLi platform, and those automatically update on her Wix website. And just to show you what that looks like when they click through onto one of those trips. So this is her Olympic Peninsula tour. And so here you can see she's got multiple dates scheduled with different prices on that. So that's one of the features of the YouLi booking platform, is that you can have different prices for different packages and allow people to pick the right one for them. And then it includes descriptions here based on the packages that they've selected. So there's a lot of functionality here we're not going to get into today, but I wanted to just give you that really quick tour of what the product does. And now I'm going to actually jump into sharing some stories. So we've got with us Nick and Nate and Sophia and Jennifer. So I'm just going to kind of run through on my screen from left and right and let each of them introduce their businesses and talk about their challenges and wins, hopefully, over the last few months. So I'll start with you, Nick.
Howdy, everybody. My name is Nick Vanello. I am here in Cleveland, Ohio, and I have a niche magazine for men called GoNaked magazine. And last year, pre-pandemic, I decided that I wanted to start taking people on trips. That was really going to be retreats, but then as the year went on, we kind of decided just to scrap the retreat end of it and just make a gorgeous vacation for gentlemen. So as you can probably tell by the name of the magazine and the business, I take people on clothing optional travel, and specifically I take men on clothing optional travel. That kind of stems from back when I was just young and coming out. It was the height of the AIDS epidemic. So a lot of guys, I'm 57, a lot of people in my age group were always taught hands off, stay away. And so there's a lot of intimacy and connection issues. These are workshops and retreats that allow people to get past all of those years where they were told no, and we take them on phenomenal trips where they can get naked and actually just have a lot of fun discovering new cultures. So that said, my trip was supposed to be, I decided my trip in February of last year to go visit Puerto Vallarta during the Day of the Dead. Needless to say, the timing couldn't have been worse. However, working with Jen and everybody there, you made the process so easy as far as building the website and collecting funds and it was terrific. Now I worked in hospitals for 13 years teaching medical software. So I've always been really keen on following what's happening medically. So I followed every single day the medical news, the COVID rates that were happening in Puerto Vallarta. And I had to compare them to what was going on here in the United States. And at the time, their infection rates were a lot lower than they were here. So I just felt that if we could all get there safely, we would be actually safer than we were here. The guys that agreed to travel, and we had a sold out group, the guys who agreed to travel all promised that they were going to be as safe as possible up until, no, we are a generation used to pandemics. So, we were ready for this. So we all promised that we would do everything in our power to stay socially distanced, to minimize any risks, and wear masks and do everything possible. And we had bi-weekly calls on Zoom that got our groups together, and we discussed safety, we discussed contingency plans, what would happen if somebody got sick. And once we got down there, there were daily temperature checks. People were wearing masks for the first few days. Everybody was kind of feeling everybody out. Everybody made sure that they were socially distanced. By the third or fourth day, everybody felt comfortable enough where they could move closer together. But I think the biggest success is that we organized this group. We had 16 people go internationally. Everybody had a great time, and everybody came back safely. It was a huge win.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it was crazy scary, but I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to come with me. So.
Yeah, I mean, I watched you go through that process of deciding whether or not to run that experience, and I think I applaud you for sort of tackling it, but in the most responsible possible way. And I think that's kind of the model of what we're going to have to be doing going forward as we think about constant communication, preparing people, educating them on the risks, supporting them to do the right things. Because even as it becomes, the restrictions are lifted, there's still going to be things we're going to need to do to keep people safe, right? So you sort of run the gauntlet. So it's like, should only get easier from here, yeah?
I would hope so. And, thanks to the custom forms on your site, I'm able to upload COVID forms. Everybody who's coming has to submit proof that they've received both vaccines. So, we're doing everything that we possibly can to keep people as safe as possible. So that's what's happening.
Amazing. Well done, Nick.
Thank you.
So Jennifer, I would love to give you a chance to kind of share about how you've chosen to refocus on the domestic market. So kind of relaunching your brand and your business with a new focus. And it's amazing how fast you've managed to get all of those products.
Oh, well, thank you. The YouLi team was a big part of that. So thank all of you. I'm in the Seattle area. Global Family Travels actually turned 10 last January, right before the pandemic broke out. So we never really had a party to celebrate, but that's coming. But anyways, so my company does travel a little bit differently. It's community based, and many of you probably are aware of what that is in South America or some other places where you really connect with community partners, and they basically drive the experiences. And we work with a lot of nonprofits to do donor trips and other things like that. And the reason we do that is we have 3 travel pillars: learn, serve, and immerse. And so because we work with community partners or nonprofits, we're able to really create authentic, immersive experiences. So when the pandemic broke out, we had just in February presented to the Seattle Hotel Concierge Guild about some tours that were some indoors, that none of which we could run during the pandemic. So we last summer kind of decided to curate some outdoor adventures, aligning with, we couldn't really, actually, we just launched them in April. And Jen shared the link. We're calling them Seattle Community Tours because we're partnering with hip hop artists, Black farmers in urban Seattle. Actually, I just came from the Olympic Peninsula, which is a beautiful part of the state, to meet with a couple of tribes where we're creating some regenerative tours around learning about salmon habitat recovery, and working in Oregon around actually replanting trees where the terrible wildfires broke out. So that we just ran our first sort of trip last weekend with media, and we just put a press release out a week ago. So it's super exciting. So that's been our pivot, but really I'm learning so much about what's in my own backyard, and really super excited to be working with a number of other entities. And I'll keep it short and sweet. Happy to answer any questions, but you guys have been amazing at YouLi, so thank you for your support and good work.
It's a pleasure, and that's what we want to be here for, is to help people rebuild in whatever way that looks like for them. And I think the recovery is going to vary significantly from country to country, and potentially even state to state. So I should
have said we specialize in travel to India. So unfortunately, India is in like a horrible state with the pandemic. So don't expect to bring that back for at least for another year plus. So big prayers to them.
Yeah, and I think that uncertainty is something that we all kind of have to sort of manage, just on a personal level and then also on a business level. And I think that's probably been one of the hardest things for us in the travel industry. It's like, okay, when we're talking about communicating, setting expectations for our clients, right? So I think the great thing about what you've done is, you're staying relevant within your community. And I've seen a lot of great brands like yourselves do that, which is to say, like, well, we specialize in India tours, but we can achieve similar goals in our own backyard. And you've put that work into
I really believe travel, builds bridges and creates a greater understanding. And there's so much divide that we need to heal in our own country. So using travel as a way to do that is, a beautiful thing. So.
Yeah, and you're a member of the Transformational Travel Council as well, right?
Transformational travel, yeah. And so some of these are, heart-centered trips using some of their their tools. And I should say the ATTA, Adventure Trade and Travel Association, was great in providing resources for COVID safety protocols too. So we on every single tour, unfortunately, the first thing you see in the YouLi booking platform is COVID protocols. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, that sort of has to be the reality for the first phase of this, right? Until people kind of normalize on
first.
Yeah, exactly. Which, in some ways, I think, travel has always been an industry where, there are sort of safety protocols that, maybe we just got used to them, right? And we sort of didn't think of them as, and so, but, if we think about traveling to India, like, you would have had to prepare people for, traveling safely to India. So I think it's just that this is a new level. So I think once we kind of get over that newness factor, then we're going to be able to figure this out and have our operations and be able to do these successfully. So one thing I did when you said about the salmon fishery, so I grew up in Northern California, and actually one of my childhood memories is actually having salmon cooked over a fire with a tribe in one of the national parks there, and just being like, this is the best salmon I've ever had in my entire life. And nothing on it, like literally just on a stick over the fire, just pure salmon. And so I just love hearing the stories that, like, there's work to make that more common, right? Because the salmon fisheries have been really depleted. And
and it's so interesting, the whole concept of regenerative tourism, which it's really connecting, it's indigenous wisdom, really, that we're all really connected to nature. And it's that part of being a steward of our destination and our tomorrow's Earth Day, so our planet or Earth. So it's been so much learning for me, at least. I mean, I always believed that, but just calling on Native tribes here is I think it's so important to tell these stories. So, oh, thanks. Yeah. So anyway, I'd love to connect with all of you offline too. I always love to expand our family circle. So that's our tagline.
Yeah, so here Vika's showing how she's put the COVID-19 policy as part of her trip pages. So this is completely customizable. Everyone who uses the trip pages can choose how they convey this information. And so Jennifer's chosen to make that really prominent because it's such an important aspect of getting people to trust and get back to travel again. So, really encourage you to kind of take a look at what Jennifer's done. And if you have any questions now for her, just double checking if you have any. We do have a message from Susan saying, awesome job pivoting, Jennifer. So
thank you.
So well done. And so I think we're going to move on in here. We're going to move to the other side of the world and hear from Nate, who is the founder of Adventure Out Loud.
Thanks, Jen. So Adventure Out Loud is an African travel specialist. And one of the reasons I started Adventure Out Loud was I believe travel is a great way to make a difference in the world. So our mission is making a difference in the world through adventure travel by sponsoring or by donating 50% of our profits to keep disadvantaged children in school. So as part of all of our trips, we obviously donate 50% of our profits to keep kids in school, but we also make it possible for people to personally sponsor students through school. And that really adds to their transformational experience because it gives them a chance to come across and meet the charity that they're supporting, meet the student that they're sponsoring through school, meet their family, and they really spend a couple of days really immersing into that community. And that's a really powerful experience for them. And I think, one of the major reasons I started is I've got a lot of friends who want to make a difference, but they're not quite sure how to start. There's so many key issues or things that are wrong with the world, and it kind of is a bit overwhelming. And particularly when you look at Africa, a lot of people go, well, we've been pouring money into Africa for years. Why is it still a basket case? And they're their words, not mine. And the reality is, in my opinion, it's because Africa has too many people that aren't going to school. If someone isn't educated, they can't vote the right politicians in, so corruption's rife across the continent. They can't get a good job, which means they can never earn good money, get good healthcare, make sure their kids are looked after, particularly for young girls. If they don't go to school, they'll end up getting married in their early teenage years and have kids by the time they're 16 or 18. So just keeping a child in school is a really great way to make a difference in Africa. And by making it as simple as, here, you donate a small amount every month, and that's how this makes a difference, and then taking people to go and experience that difference, we've achieved some really great results over the last 6 years. COVID was a bit of a kick in the guts for us because I started the company in 2015 and we were just getting to profit region. So brakes are on. Australia is hard closed to the rest of the world, so it's going to be a while before we get back to Africa. I think having been through that journey of starting a company, I felt like I didn't have the energy to pivot and move to Australia. And I also didn't think it was a smart financial move for us because without international tourists coming in, domestic tourists just don't travel the same. So a lot of domestic people in Australia would organise their own trek or organise their own experience rather than necessarily buying through someone. I felt like to restart new in Australia when you're competing against businesses that have been existing for a while, I just didn't think that was a smart move for us. So we have launched a couple of things. So we've got a Larapinta trek, which is a 230 kilometre trek through Northern Territory in May, June. That's pretty hard. That's in 12 days. So most of the days are 20, 30 kilometre plus days. It's quite intense. And then we'll also have a yoga adventure later in the year as well. But most of what we're doing is using this time to automate some of our processes, gain some efficiencies, fix a lot of the issues in our website. And that's kind of where YouLi's been great. One of the things I really love about the YouLi booking system is those tasks. It makes it, I used to have to, email people out, give us your passport, give us your yellow fever vaccination booklet, whatever it might be. Whereas in the task section, I can just assign those tasks and people can tick them off and it notifies me once that's ticked off. So that's really a great thing about the system. And I'm really loving working with the team, building a customized website. They're very personalized in their approach. We have regular meetings. They listen to feedback. And I think this is about the third or fourth iteration of our website. So it's nice to have people that are actually listening and getting it done. So I'm looking forward to seeing the final product up in a couple of months, hopefully in time for consumer confidence to improve and for us to have some kind of light at the end of tunnel of when international borders might open up.
Well, the New Zealand travel bubble has opened with Australia, so this is an important first step. But yeah, and I think, well done on you for, sort of taking this time to do what you can do. And I know a lot of companies have sort of identified that this is a good time to sort of improve operations and, sit at the computer and get that stuff done so that when travel does restart, you're actually not chasing your tail with spreadsheets and email chains and things like that. And you've got a smooth operation. I still firmly believe there's going to come a moment when, when the borders open, you're just going to suddenly have trips, just sold out. And we are already seeing that with some of our clients in the US who have sort of a large loyal audience and that are doing domestic experiences. They're already selling out. And that's just, just now in April when things are still not great everywhere. So I firmly believe, and that's our software is gearing up to sort of start handling more waitlist capabilities because we think that you're going to need that. I think everybody's going to be in a situation where they have not enough supply and too much demand. So I think we're going to go from drought to flood, basically.
Bring it on.
So thank you, Nate. And now I want to hear from Sophia and tell us about Melanated Travel and how you're preparing for the travel boom that's coming.
Sure. So just a little bit of background. I'm an educator, so I train school leaders on equity issues and organizational change. And I actually started Sankara Travel about 3 years back. And I take groups of school groups overseas. So either student groups or professional development groups. And then I organize the entire thing. These are groups from within my network. So, right, it's like I basically get one check. So if I'm taking, Harvard Grad School of Ed to Tanzania, it's one check. I'm not necessarily booking a bunch of different people and all these other things. But even with that said, there's so many Google Docs that I dealt with that it became its own, like that it really was a full-time job while I was doing a full-time job. And because travel isn't my main source of income, I had time to like pause and think, and of course all the schools shut down, so nothing was going to happen. And I guess about 6 months back, within the pandemic, more so within the lockdown times. I'm chiming in from Cambridge, Massachusetts. I kept getting dings from people who went on my educational trips to ask me when is the next trip. And I was like, we're in a pandemic. I'm not doing any of that right now. And they were like, no, we want to take groups of friends of ours somewhere. Just take the educational stuff out. And I said, oh, okay. And I realized, okay, I need to have another company. So Melanated Travel came about, and I realized that I needed to be a critical consumer, because that's what I do. I help schools figure out what are the best platforms so that you're not wasting money on platforms that are not user-friendly. So being about, a mile from MIT, this is not my domain. So I asked some folks like, what are some travel management companies that are really good, blah, blah. Your name was on the list of the top 3. And these are coders. So when they say something, I'm always like, great, but I need something. I just need to type something in. I don't want to take a course. And the other 2 companies, which I won't name, you had to either hire somebody to do the work, or you had, the learning curve, I'd have to take multiple courses to do it. YouLi was just user-friendly. So as a critical consumer, I'm paying for what I'm getting. I can go on and I could do it myself. So I didn't start Melanated Travel first. I actually found your company first and then started Melanated Travel because there was no rush. And so when I realized, I can do this, then I thought about, well, what is Melanated Travel going to be and what's the market, et cetera, et cetera. And Melanated Travel is a leisure travel company. So I could have, 20 different folks from 20 different states. That's very different than somebody cutting me a check from MIT or from Harvard or from Leslie or BB&N. I had to be able to navigate that. And your software provided that for me. Melanated Travel is a Black travel experience. We experience trauma as Black people, and we need to go away with ourselves and have a good time, period. That's it. It's not, there's no complexities to it. There is the Black travel market is there. Whenever I go to a different country at 47, they're like, are you part of Travel Noir? I'm like, no, I'm just a traveler. Because a lot of us have not had permission to travel. And now that folks, particularly in the global North, are traveling more, but there's also folks in the African continent, middle-class folks that are traveling as well. We want to just go places where we know that we can find Black hair products and that the concierge will treat us with respect and that we don't have to deal with the nonsense we deal with on our everyday life. So that's what Melanated Travel is. It's just a place for us to go and have a good time as a collective group. And your platform has really helped us with that. It really has made it so much simpler than what it is. So much that our sister company, Sankara Travel, I'm planning on also upgrading and using YouLi for that as well. What I did with Sankara is because that's a student travel company, we do things like study abroad, we take groups of faculty overseas, et cetera. And I actually played around a little bit with the itinerary and the highlight to see if it makes sense, if I basically can translate that into a 128-day study abroad program. And it actually, you could do it. So I'm excited to actually start using that for that purpose. And
that's amazing. That's actually one of the things I really love. As a product person, you build something, you have something in mind, and then I love, as a creative user, you repurpose it, right? And I just love seeing the potential that I didn't initially see, but that you find in it. I think that's such a beautiful outcome.
No, it's dope. It works. I deal with billions of dollars of software that schools use. And sometimes I'm like, okay, this stuff does not work. And this works. So like a concrete example is this, Cuba rum and cigars, we do for Sankara, the study abroad are for African diasporic and indigenous higher ed students in the United States. And so, a trip we do a Kenya trip, for example. And so with that, basically, right, it would just, I tried to play around, it would just say Kenya, and then the dates would be, from August to December. And rather than the itinerary being daily, the itinerary would be weekly. So I used it. I was like, this is great. So I spoke with my developer for that website, because that's not a YouLi website. And we've been putting PDFs on the site. So if you go to Most Travel Abroad, what you'll see is PDFs and, print them out. But this is so much better than a PDF for printing out. So I just totally in gratitude of you all for designing something that works. Again, I didn't want to invest in a website, invest in this, invest in that. So when I found your platform and I realized, it could be an all-in-one, I said, great, we'll try Melanated Travel out. We're not trying to take over the market. We're trying to simply have the folks within our network, which is a broad network, do what we need to do. So,
well, I love that. I actually hadn't heard that before. I love that you hadn't started Melanated Travel until you found us. And that's really what we're hoping, is that we inspire people coming out of the pandemic to launch trips and launch businesses, because there's going to be so much demand, and there's going to be new demand. Like, people are going to reconsider a lot about their lives coming out of the pandemic. And I think travel and experiences is going to be one of the key places that they spend the savings that they've acquired over the lockdowns. So, so thank you guys so much. I'm just conscious of time, but I did want to check and see if anyone has any questions for any of our amazing travel business owners here. So we have Nick from GoNaked Events, we have Nate from Adventure Out Loud, Sophia Boyer from Melanated Travel, and Jennifer Spatz from Global Family Travels. As you can see, they all have beautiful businesses and very impact-driven, heart-centered businesses. They are sort of launching with an intention to leave a positive impact on the lives of not only their travelers, but also the communities that they visit. And to us, as a founder of YouLi, we really wanted that to be true. We see that potential in travel, and we knew, we saw that technology was kind of out there pushing people to the top 10 destinations to take the Instagram photo. And we just thought, yeah, but that's not really why we travel. We travel to change ourselves. We travel to change the world. I need to find those people, because it's going to be humans, like amazing humans like Nick and Nate and Sophia and Jennifer, that actually make that possible. And the technology actually has to disappear underneath that, right? And so for us, YouLi has always been about disappearing so that our clients can shine and that they can really achieve the impact that they're striving for. So thank you guys so much for sharing your stories.
Jen, if I had one other thing that I think I'm realizing is really important, I could tell by everyone's amazing. Nick, I just absolutely blown away by yours. I love it. I want to do a naked trip. I know I'm not a man, but I would
love to go to the places that you're going.
I am all about that. Free ourselves. I love it. So and Nick and Nate, Jennifer, I think these are dope projects. They're not just travel business, they're projects. So I love them. Another thing that I found that is helpful, and actually I don't want to take credit for it. Some of the folks that we work with, particularly in the global South, they don't have the resources to have a website and to pay a fee and et cetera. And what it's great is the on the itinerary, on the option to book, it's basically you guys can correct me with the proper term, but terminology, but you can book something additional to whatever that day is. I've been basically connecting to folks that I know that have really great tour companies, but just in Bahia don't have the funding to have a website and et cetera. And so, they were because to use their name, I want to share what I showed them what the website looked like and what the capabilities are. And they were like, wow, this is going to now bring additional business to us. So that's an additional to a sharing the global North wealth. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And that is the thing about, software should be empowering the people who are actually creating these experiences, right? It shouldn't be consolidated into the big players, right? So go ahead, Nick.
So I hope this isn't off topic, and I hope this is helpful for not only the travel organizers, but anybody who's looking to come over to YouLi. One of the unexpected joys that we discovered last year was the YouLi app. And I trained everybody how to use the YouLi app before we ever went on the trip. So they got their magic links and they saw their itineraries of what was happening every day. But then we took it a step further, and I was able to take each individual's personal information and put it into the itinerary. So if Bob was coming in on the 2 p.m. flight from Dallas, I made that an itinerary item and only shared it with Bob and myself and my team so that we knew what was happening with Bob. Bob saw it on his, none of the other travelers saw when Bob was coming in. If somebody booked a massage appointment at the villa, they saw that on their personal itinerary for the day. If they, we customized it to the nth degree so that when people knew that they had to go to that app every single day to see what was going on next. And they freaking loved it. You made it so simple to communicate with the group. I didn't have to chase people down or leave notes on doors or anything crazy like that. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. I love that, actually. It's funny because we built the app to go offline. So because YouLi is mobile responsive, you can load it just fine on your mobile device in a browser, and that works great. But what we discovered is, as Nate will attest, going to Kilimanjaro, like not a lot of signal on the mountain. And so if somebody wants to kind of follow along on like, what's tomorrow's trek day going to look like? And, they're sort of remembering the itinerary from before, they want to look at it, they wouldn't be able to load it except if it's in the Trip app. So the YouLi Trip app has an offline mode. So you can download it when you're connected, and then you can access it from Kilimanjaro if you'd like.
Nick, I'll second
Another
that.
thing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You go.
Oh, I was going to say, again, as a small business owner who wants to do good and share, that's like an additional expense. So again, with like Sankara Travel, I was like, because the younger folks were like, where's your app? If you don't have an app, you're not cool. So taking a bunch of like wealthy independent school kids, they're like, where's your app? So I was like, I got to find an app. Now I got to develop an app. So when I fell into this, I was like, okay, this does every single thing that needs to be done. So I haven't played with it yet, but again, just having it, that's one less thing I have to pay for. So thank you again.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
And I think,
Jennifer.
as Jen said, once travel does reopen, people will book quickly. And if you can make that really easy and pain-free and kind of walk them through the process like YouLi does, I think you'll convert much higher than people that are still using PDFs and still, you've got to call them to make a booking, and it's really slow and all that kind of stuff. And I think the other great thing, particularly for us, is when you're on some of the more premium subscriptions with YouLi, you can take bank transactions, or you can receive money through your bank without charging a fee. A lot of our tours are 6, 8, 10,000 Australian dollars. So 2% of $10,000 is way too much money for people to be paying a credit card fee. Most of them will just transfer the money and avoid that couple of $100 fee. So that's really, really valuable for us.
Absolutely. Thank you. I was just seeing a message from Kim. Thank you, Kim. And Jennifer had to drop off. So she's off to run more of her amazing experiences. Do you guys have anything more you want to share? Any other stories that or sort of words of wisdom to inspire people that maybe aren't kind of at the same point that you are in terms of being bold enough to kind of get out there and relaunch or put some trips out there and plan to run them?
I would just, go ahead, Nate, you're good, go ahead.
One of the things we're finding is a lot of people are talking to us requesting trips that are more out in wide open spaces because of the changes COVID's made. So if you can create itineraries that are off the beaten track and aren't going to be surrounded by multiple other groups, I think you'll benefit from that. Definitely that's the direction we're headed in anyway.
That's a really good tip. Yeah. Sophia?
I would just say that people are itching. Maybe it's just where I am geographically. People are itching to travel. They are ready to go. And the cost of having this platform is worth it, because the amount of time, the amount of energy, to be honest with you, that is wasted, it is just like consolidating the one place. So that was that. I just feel like, again, there are a lot of folks who do this, but don't professionalize it because they're afraid that the management is going to be overwhelming. Going on what you were saying, Nate, regarding the bank, like, again, if I can outsource something, I do at this point. I can't do it all. So I actually had my banker go on your YouTube and do the, you have different webinars, and he went on YouTube. I was like, all right, well, he was like, ask me all these questions. I'm like, dude, I can't right now. Go on, here's their name, Google them, figure out and find out what you need to do as a bank to get me the best way to get money from people. And he was able to do that. He figured it out. He came back, and now we have a meeting, next week to figure out and change the current system that I have, which is charging folks, it's too much, it's too high. And it's also not necessarily super secure, where this is secure. So again, it's just, I believe like we shouldn't have gatekeepers, and we have gatekeepers in travel. And we need to say, you know what, Nick wants a group, he has a great idea, get your group and do it. And other people will follow. So this is something that sort of helps liberate us to do that. And also shout out to Claire, because she gave me a great training. I'm a great teacher, but I'm not a great student. But Claire was very patient with me, and it was a time crunch. And literally, seriously, I was able to launch after she finished everything up. I was able to launch like that evening. I was able to finish most things up and launch in 2 days. So thank you again. Appreciate it.
Incredible.
And also the
Yeah, thank you.
subscriptions, the monthly subscriptions start at something similar to Netflix. Like the base level products are really cheap.
Well, I mean, you can play around with it and dabble with your itineraries for free until you're ready to take bookings, right? So that's because we understand, we get it. Not everybody's ready to launch or relaunch. Some people are still kind of thinking and planning and preparing. And really, this is about saying, we're committed to being part of this community and being part of supporting people like you to create these experiences in whatever pace you need to for your own businesses, and then also for your travelers. So I'm so inspired. I want to go on all the trips. I know I can't go on Nick's trip, but maybe when Nick and Sophia make one together, I'll go.
Yes, I'm down. Yes, Nick, we're doing together.
Rock and roll. Let's make it happen.
You just have to run a female trip.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we got to do a trip with everything. Yeah, I don't know about that trekking, but I'd be interested to observe.
Go
There
naked
is a-
Kilimanjaro? Can we do that?
Really naked?
Why not? Why not?
Maybe just in the jungle part, maybe not the summit.
We had one of our first groups, two of the girls got to the summit and they took their tops off, being brave and so on. And it was still quite cold at that time. And they got down and they were telling the story to this other group of girls, and the other group of girls go, oh yeah, we got fully naked. So then they want to go back up and do it again because they feel like they didn't do it properly.
Oh, amazing. You guys are phenomenal. Thank you so much for being part of our community and for joining us today. And please, everyone who is watching either live or after the fact, please feel free to contact Nick or Nate or Sophia or Jennifer. They're all accessible. They all have websites. They all have Facebook presences. So check them out, reach out to them, connect with them, collaborate on an interesting experience maybe. And I can't wait to see you guys again, and hopefully someday in person.
Soon.
Awesome.
That'd be
Safe
awesome.
travels, everyone. Mwah.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.